Kapālabhāti is a yoga pranayama technique which is often called the breath of fire. In Sanskrit, it actually translates to skull shining breath. Skull shining as in this breath can make you feel like your skull is shining. Essentially, it's that way in which we manage the oxygen intake and the carbon dioxide exhalation, or the short, sharp exhalations that move the breath out of the body, which sometimes, at times, potentially can make you feel a little bit like your skull is shining. Now, when we talk about the technique of this breath, it's a short, sharp, rapid exhalation. And it's all about clearing the breath, the stale breath, out of the body. Now, if you're anything like me, you have to make sure that your airways are clear, that your breath can actually have a functional exhalation. Which means if you need to blow your nose, do so. At the same time, maybe if you're in the comfort of your own home or if the room's dark enough, stuff might fly out, and that's okay. That's just a part of being human. So you just clear it off and keep going. Now, when we look at the technique, what we want to start to understand is we focus on an exhalation first, but what makes this breath unique, different than other ones we'll talk about, is that it's a passive inhale, intentional sharp exhalation. So think passive inhale, passive inhale. So it's almost like the breath itself is just coming back in and then you're pushing it out. Coming back in, pushing it out. Coming back in, pushing it out. A nice way to think about it is almost like, like when you're blowing up an air mattress, if you've got like a friend coming over to stay at your house and you're blowing an air mattress and you blow it up, when you stop blowing and you take your mouth off the valve, it'll deflate or air will come back. So the passive response. So it's kind of the idea. So as you breathe out, as you open your mouth or as you let the breath back in, the air will fill up. Now, technically, as you get more experience with this, you don't need to open your mouth. But for some people, it's going to help as you build the foundation of learning. For me and for you, as you practice more regularly, it's about knowing that the breath will come back in and trusting that even though it's a passive intake, oxygen will come back into the body, so there's exhalation. And of course, at any time, if you need to crack the side of the mouth or bring a little bit of breath in on the intake, you can do that. Now, when we talk about that short, sharp exhalation, sometimes I'll literally use my hands to create that pumping motion and it's not just directly an in pump. What we're looking for is an in and up. So the same way as we're almost lifting that in and up action. If you're familiar with something like Uddiyana Bandha, that in and upward lift, that upward flying action, that's the same mechanic or the very almost similar identical mechanic or mechanism we're going to use for that exhalation pump. Think one of the ways that can be helpful is if you think the breath is inevitably going to come out of your nose. So by pumping the stomach in and up, it's actually helping get the breath up and out. So your belly or the navel or the abdomen is going in and up, right? The same way as the diaphragm, as you exhale, is going up. You're essentially going in and up to go up and out. And that becomes the technical effort of Kapālabhāti. Now, when you think about Kapālabhāti, most traditionally and most commonly, it's going to be taught quite rapidly and fast. So it might literally be something like this. And it's a quick pace, it's an energetic pace, it's a way in which you're creating an upregulation, an effortful exhalation, because it's clearing, it's cleansing, it's forceful, it's dynamic. And that is the traditional classical way in which Kapālabhāti is practiced. Now, for me, I don't always practice that way. I don't think that's the only way to practice it or the best way actually to practice it. For me, it's a little bit like the only way to go outside and exercise is to sprint. Well, the reality is there's a lot of value in walking and jogging. And before you get to running or sprinting, by walking and jogging or slowing the pace down of Kapālabhāti, not only do you have a better chance at understanding the technique or mastering the technique, you actually allow yourself to get the full effect of the exhalation. Now, again, it serves a different purpose. It's not exactly the same with that cleansing pump. It's not going to shine the skull as much or give you that feeling of cleansing, but it is going to really help give you a controlled sense of exhalation and energy movement. And so while the traditional version is quick, I will often teach this in 3 paces. I'll teach a fast pace, a medium or a moderate pace, and a slow pace. So it might be, if I'm going to be doing it as a quick pace or a moderate pace or a slow pace. And in that kind of, for me, starts to play along this spectrum of quantity and quality, where the ultimate hope is that at a quick pace you have quality and quantity, but as you move to a moderate pace where the quantity is a little bit less or slower, the quality can be a little bit more full or richer. And then when you get to that slower pace, it's really a quality exhalation, even though the quantity is lower and slower. So it's up to you in kind of how you want to teach it over time. But the truth is, in practice, you'll find different needs for it. Quick will help really get you going. Moderate, which for me is the sweet spot, is that place in which we're getting the most value from it because you're feeling the pace, but you're getting to have a quality exhalation. And then the slow pace can almost be a warm-up. It can be a preparation. It can be a way to understand technique. But that, in a sense, is what Kapālabhāti is as a technique. And I'd like you to make sure that you learn it, understand it, practice it, and have that feeling and grasp of its value and usage throughout the practice. In a sitting practice, oftentimes you're going to sit here, and typically I'll have my hands on my knees, or I'll even slightly lean forward, because that allows the belly to sort of, quote unquote, drop out. So it creates gravity to have an upward lift, more effort to lift, which puts more value in that pump or cleanse. If you're in an asana practice, you can use it a multitude of places. I suppose I love to put it in places that are a little less common, where you're already in fiery places, maybe a chair pose having Kapālabhāti, maybe in a lunge pose in a Kapālabhāti, or you can have a moderate cleanse in things like a Vrikshasana, a tree pose, or somewhere where you're naturally just using it for cause and effect. And it's really about understanding that it's a tool for practice and it's a technique for energy management. And it's a really great way to bring into your sitting practice or your asana practice, however you choose to breathe.